Pres.Akufo-Addo announces a 13 ministerial squad to manage key ministries in his government, with resurfacing of the Ministry of National Security and the measure of the Ministry of Petroleum and Power.
Our enterprises beginning to expand and grow and create jobs, and our economy to be on an outward path. The issues that we have had with the supply of energy.
Security expert Kwesi Enin has meanwhile lauded President Akufo-Addo for bringing back the National Security Ministry, which he describes as very crucial to the nation's security.
It's really a very good day for Ghana, and I'm looking forward to his confirmation hearings, but more importantly, his eventual appointment and an engagement to ensure that some of the excesses that we have experienced will protect the DNI. For example.
So who brings what on board? And are these 13 individuals up to the task? This is today's big story. My name is Aisha Bryan. The 13 individuals who will be heading towards these 13 ministries once they are approved by Parliament are Yao Osafo-Maafo, Senior Minister Designate, Albert Kandapa, Minister Designate for the Ministry of National Security, Alan Chermantin, Minister Designate for Trade, Ken Oforiatta, Minister Designate for Finance, Dr. Efrio Akoto, Minister Designate for Agric, Boache Jako, Minister Designate for Petroleum and Power, Dominic Nitiwul is heading to the Ministry of Defense, and Shirley Ayoko Botre, Minister Designate for Foreign Affairs, Gloria Kufu, Attorney General Designate, Hajia Alima Mahama, Minister Designate for Local Government, Dr. Matthew Poku Prempe, Minister Designate for Education, and Kweku Ajiman Meno, Minister Designate for Health. We can listen to the President on his expectations of these individuals, especially the Power and Petroleum Ministry.
Our enterprises beginning to expand and grow and create jobs, and our economy to be on an outward path. The issues that we have had with the supply of energy in the last 5 years have to be things of the past. We must find a way to be able to have reliable supply of energy and at competitive rates for our industries and enterprises, and also affordable for also consumers. That's his charge. It's a big charge, because essentially what he has to do is to assure the Ghanaian people that Dumso is going to be a thing permanently of the past, and that its head will not rear up again, especially in Akufo-Addo's time as president. He's a banker, very successful banker. He's for years vice president of an important American bank, the Bank of New York, and there had the exposure to important financial transactions in the area of energy, whether it is in establishing power plants across the world, in financing them, or exploration, for petroleum. But he has a very broad experience in the energy sector, and I think that to have somebody at the head of the energy sector who's also very particular about figures, having regard to the recent history that we've had about contracts that have generated a great deal of controversy in the energy sector, is going to be very important for us. He's a product of Emancipation and of the University of Ghana and of universities in America. He's played a very active role in the politics of our party since he came back from America, and has become an important voice in the energy industry in Ghana. So I think that he is in a position to provide the leadership of this very important sector of our national economy. Seems to be all kinds of problems about the duplication of activities and the need for us to rationalize the infrastructure of our energy sector. I believe that Boakye Jacko is in a position to undertake that task and undertake it successfully. So he is the person that I am recommending to the Parliament for approval as energy sector.
And that's Pres.Akufo-Addo there. We can now do some analysis, and we're speaking with David Agbe, who joins me in the studio. He is with the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security. You're welcome to the show, David. We'll also be joined via Skype by Dr. Edward Brenya, who is a political science lecturer with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Good evening to you. Thanks for your time on today's big story.
Good evening, Aisha, and good evening, David.
All right, let me start with you, Dr. Brenya. Your quick impression about these appointments. I mean, were you surprised, to hear these names?
I wasn't surprised at all because some of these names has been speculated, and therefore they were mentioning the name were not surprising. One or two actually came up as surprising, not because of the fact that their names were mentioned, but the specific portfolio that was given to them. That is the Minister of Education, Dr. Matthew Prempe, who was nominated to head the Education Ministry. And of course, the Minister of Defense, Dominic Itibu.
Right.
Those were the two that first glance were a bit surprising, but all others, I believe strongly, has been speculated and wasn't surprising.
All right, let me find out from you, David. What's your own assessment of this whole appointment?
Yes, I do agree with Dr. Brenya sincerely that the names are not something surprising at all. I mean, they've all played a critical role as far as MPP victory is concerned. And like you said, somebody like Matthew Poku Prempe, I mean, he's a medical practitioner, but he has been very, vocal when it comes to education, matters arising in this country. Right. So he has been one of the critical, voices when it comes to education. So I'm not surprised that he has been, earmarked or appointed as Minister Designate for Education. When it comes to somebody like Dominic Nitiwood, I think that Dominic Nitiwood has been quite enterprising enough as far as the MPP is concerned, right from the time that Dr. Eben Chambers actually, left that seat. I'm talking about Bimbela seat. Dominic Nitiwood has played a critical role as far as far as that constituency is concerned, and he has a very good background in finance. He has MBA in finance and another master's in LLM, also in corporate finance, and he has a certain understanding of how the security architecture actually works. In Parliament, I've visited the Committee on Defense and Interior, and which he is a member, trying to advocate very well for the security agencies. Don't forget that during the electioneering season, they came out with a certain work plan that they wish that the military, when it comes to their retirement age, they want to even increase it to almost, is it about 60 thereabout? Right. It became a very critical debate. Some of us who understand security-related issues, we are trying to tell them that they need to be a bit cautious when it comes to security matters.
Of course. Talking about security, there's another important thing that has happened today. I'll get back to that. But let me find out from Dr. Brenya also, the senior minister, who is Yao Osafo-Maafo. For instance, the president says he's going to lead the reform of Ghana's economy. And indeed, he talks about moving Ghana from a consuming economy to an industrialized one. That sounds very huge a task. And I don't envy Yao Osafo-Maafo at all, Doc.
I thought that, I think, yes, it may seem huge, but in the words of Osafo-Maafo, he said he's supposed to work together with a team. So it's not something that he's doing alone, he's doing it with a team, and he likened himself to the senior minister under Kufuor's administration. And he says that insofar as it has to do with, if you like, victory role, complementing the efforts and activities of the other ministries, that he thinks is going to be up to the task. And I believe strongly that it's not something that is beyond his reach, because we have known him as he has presented himself in different ministries in Ghana, and I believe strongly that together with the team that is supposed to lead, that he will perform credibly.
All right. The important thing I was talking about is the return to the Ministry of National Security, and which will be led by Albert Kandapa. We know him as a person. We know what he has done. He has chaired the committee in Parliament. Public Accounts Committee. Yeah. We know what he brings on board. For you, what do you think about the resurfacing of this ministry?
I think that it is a constitutional obligation. Definitely. When it comes to, I mean, that appointment.
And we know that Kufuor did it. We know ex-President Rawlings also did it, but we didn't see that in the Atta Mills and Mahama government.
Yes, but I think that it is good enough that they want to actually respect the Constitution and be able to fill in such a vacancy. And Kandapa is a good material. I mean, he has been an MP for almost about 3 consecutive times. You know, Efija Kwabre, very well. He's a chartered accountant by profession, worked with ECG on several, you know, before he came to Parliament. And Parliament, he has played a critical role during President Kufuor's, you know, administration. Minister of Communication, Minister of Energy, and Minister of Interior. He has played a critical role as far as MPP, you know, administration or, you know, success stories are concerned. So he is somebody who is more like one of the pivot, you know, within MPP, you know, caucus. So I think that it is good enough. I mean, we believe that having been Interior Minister, you know, before, he will be able to understand how the security architecture actually works.
But what difference will this Ministry for National Security bring? I mean, we know we have the Interior Ministry, we have Attorney General's Department. What difference will it make?
Security is very comprehensive when it comes to a country in terms of monitoring the territorial boundaries of a country, and more to the point, to you know what has been happening within the sub-region in terms of the terrorist, you know, attacks here and there. Just last week I came back from, you know, Burkina Faso. Just wanted to understand the way security agencies are, you know, working over there, and you realize that security is very important at this moment. But the critical issue is that, can the economy sustain all those portfolios? And when economy is well grounded, then it can actually fuel the security architecture very well. But when the economy is not solid, when the economy is not well grounded, it has a certain ripple, you know, effect on security, you know, agencies. So we believe that somebody who also understands finance very well, he will also cooperate with Osafo-Maafo. I mean, as a senior minister, he was the one who took us to, you know, HIPIC in 2001, and he was able to manage the economy very well. That, you know, the HIPIC also brought a certain, you know, significant, you know, impact in terms of, you know, finance, in terms of economic management. They did fantastically well, and so I believe that those are, you know, people who are going to support Osafo-Maafo. Osafo-Maafo, very good. You know, he was an engineer and later on diverted himself to become a finance person. And he has been very, very good material as far as the management of the, the economy was concerned during President Kufuor's regime.
And so that's the same expectation we attach to him as he's heading this critical department, and also looking at Kandapa, who's also heading this all-important ministry that is being brought back. But let's listen to Dr. Kwesi Enning, who is with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Center, on what he says is a very good move, bringing back the Ministry of National Security.
Well, I think that's a very smart move by the president for several reasons. One, Article 526 of 1996, as part of the efforts to improve the rule of law and the oversight of the performance of the security sector, enjoined the president to establish or appoint a person to this ministry. But even more importantly, for that person to appear before Parliament with a report on an annual basis. Okay, so what this means is that issues of, you know, budgetary allocation, expenditure, and investment, and control and accounting will now have to come before Parliament. And then more crucially, is that the minister, we now have an individual that we can hold responsible for the excesses or otherwise of the security institutions. So this is really a very good day for Ghana, and I'm looking forward to his confirmation hearings, but more importantly, his eventual appointment and an engagement to ensure that some of the excesses that we have experienced with respect to the DNI, for example, the Ghana Police Service, the lack of adequate, effective performance can now be handled in a manner that makes all of us feel confident and secure.
Doc, what are your utmost expectations of these individuals, especially as there have been calls by experts, including you, for the security sector or the nation's security to be improved upon?
Well, I think it's fair for us to give them a couple of weeks to at least get their feet under the table, go through the files, and then make some judgments about what the most critical security challenges are. But certainly, I don't expect anything less than an optimal performance in which we all feel secure and the country is good for doing business, because money is sensitive, the creation of jobs very sensitive, and they all work and respond to a secure environment in which people can go about their business fairly and securely. So, I mean, these three gentlemen and the Attorney General have quite a tall order, because their inboxes will be flowing or overflowing with issues related to small arms, bushfires, terrorism, youth unemployment, excessive violence in our society, increase in crime, so there's a bit of work that they will have to do. But I am confident that together, those of us on the civil society academic side, engaging them in a critical discourse as to what the issues are and how we think they should be handled, together we'll be able to make this country a more secure and a safe place to do business.
Doc, what's the most important single issue with regards to security you want addressed as early as possible, immediately these people or ministers designate are approved by Parliament?
Well, I think it's a very tall order for me, but certainly the combination of small arms availability, youth radicalization and extremism, and the willingness by young people to use violence, I think those are issues that we need to get a handle on very quickly.
All right, and that's Dr. Kwesi Enin, his head of research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Center. Let me come back to you, Dr. Edward Brenya with the KNUST. Doc, one other important ministry is the Power and Petroleum Ministry, and no other person than Boakye Jaakon is the one going to head that ministry once he's approved. And the other issue is the fact that the two ministries have been brought back together to its original plan. We know it was originally one ministry until the Mahama-led government divided it into two. Does this look to you that it will bring an end to our energy problems?
I think the president said it all. The president says that he wants Dumsor to be a thing of the past under his administration. I believe strongly that President Mahama, in separating the ministries, said he wanted to pay more attention to the power side, and at the end of the day, the roles sort of seem to have been contradictory. They seem like they were performing the same thing. But one thing that our president said that was very intriguing was the fact that not only does Addo have extensive knowledge in energy, but he also brings to bear the issue of finance, the issue of economics. Because, when someone who understands finance, someone who understands economics has to deal with some of the issues, he is going to look at it from a very critical issue that involves both the not only the energy, the need for energy, but the financial implications of getting things done in the right way, making sure that it's safe energy that can help individuals to run their business, making sure that contracts that individuals engage in, the ministry engage in, are done in a way that, as the president put it, it has value for money. And I believe that with his background, that he did, not only is it going to ensure that energy stabilizes, but also is going to, whatever the sector or the ministry does, that it actually look at value for money that the president is looking at.
Well, many thanks to Dr. Edward Brenya. We appreciate your time on today's big story. Back to you, David. Shirley Ayoko-Botwe is heading the Foreign Affairs Ministry once she's approved by Parliament. But we know on the international front, we need to do some work, especially, for instance, when we had this issue or revelation of corrupt judges. That brought us back down. I mean, if we had moved 3 steps ahead, we came 5 steps backwards. We need to do that damage control. Again, we need the international world to come and invest, because we have lost a lot of investments for some time now. Is Shirley Ayoko-Botwe up to this task?
Actually, let me say that it's a ministry that my eyes are always, in there, because I understand international, relations and foreign policy making, related issues very well. And I think that Shirley Ayoko-Botwe, once upon a time, she was a deputy minister at that ministry. Before. Although she is not somebody who understands diplomacy, very well. But then I think that having worked there, she'll be able to gather a lot of information and understand how international, the dynamics, how international, front is actually, working. And more to the point too, you realize that the international system is very, complex, and it needs some level of cooperation and understanding of how the system actually works. And I do believe that now that she is more going to be the substantive minister, she will be able to read beyond what an average person, could do when it comes to understanding the international relation and our foreign policy, making processes. So I think that she has a Herculean task ahead of her now, trying to understand how things work internationally. And I also do believe that she could also get, I am trying to speculate, she could even get somebody like Dr. Ziblim Idi. I do believe that Idi is somebody who has a huge understanding of international relations and foreign policy making. And that is what he has been teaching at University of Ghana for so long. So I think that the two of them, I am just trying to say that if Nana Addo appoint Dr. Ziblim Idi, it will be able to enhance Madame Ayoko-Botwe very well, to be able to help her, understand the international, dimension. And you made mention of how they can get a lot of foreign direct investment into this country. And I do believe also that Nana Addo has also been a foreign minister before. And one thing that I also do like very well when it comes to Nana Addo's this thing is that he understands, he speaks good French, understands English, and he understands the international, situation. Right. So I think that those combinations of these personalities coming onto the table, we should expect that they will be able to dialogue very well with understanding how we can play very well with all the big powers. We are talking about United States of America, UK, dealing with the Chinese, dealing with Russia, and dealing with all the big 5, countries that we have with the world. Right. And then also trying to make sure that they touch on every country that could bring a certain level of reasonable economic benefit to this country.
Quickly, time is not on our side, but one thing we shouldn't lose sight of is Ambrose Dairy. But let me ask about Shirley Ayoko-Botwe. Can we trust her negotiating skills?
She's a communication person. I mean, masters in communication. I believe that she will be able to dance through. But then the international system is a very complex one. Right. And you need somebody who is well-grounded. And so I think that there are a lot of technical people at that ministry. Right. And there are a lot of people in this country who she can actually solicit advice from when it comes to international,
to aid her,
yes, to aid her. And so, as we speak now, we shouldn't doubt her credential, or we shouldn't maybe doubt what she can do. Right. But on the field, that is where we will be able to measure whether she'll be able
what
to
she brings on board.
exactly.
Finally, Ambrose Derry is going to the Interior Ministry. You and I know that we've had issues. I mean, the biggest issue we've had with security is the influx of small arms. We've had a lot of challenges. In fact, recently the Commission for Small Arms came out with an exercise which didn't really yield positive results. We're looking forward to getting all these small arms out of our system. We've had incidents of robbery, criminality, and all of that. Ambrose Derry, what does he bring on board? Can he tackle all these issues?
I think that Ambrose Derry too is also another strong, personality within the MPP. He's a lawyer by profession.
In 1 minute.
Yes, but I think the Interior Ministry is well heavy one. Let me say that when it comes to the small arms, the way our country is growing, the way the high class, the middle class is coming up, everybody needs that level of security. So I think that we need to wait a bit to see how best you'll be able to dance through as to how best you'll be able to solicit advice to ensure that we have peace.
But I can tell you the expectations are very high for Mr. Ambrose Derry and his team. That is today's big story. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. Good evening.